Thank you very much. My name is Sarah Ann Lynch, and I'm with the U.S. Agency for International Development, and we are here at the State Department today to take part in the Energy Summit that is over a couple of days here in Washington to talk about all kinds of energy issues. My part specifically was to talk about the Caribbean and our work, USAID's work in the Caribbean, in the clean energy space. Yes, the United States is very interested in sharing our knowledge of clean energy throughout the globe. I am specifically working on this issue in the Caribbean, but even within the Caribbean, there is knowledge across the region that can be shared more fully with the other island nations. And so we're starting in this region to look there and work across borders so that all of these island nations can benefit from each other and their knowledge, and definitely share that share that information globally.
And as I mentioned to your other colleague, where does hydropower fit in the mix for that country? Is it large hydro? Would small hydro work? Would run-of-the-river hydro work? I mean, it really is, again, on a case-by-case basis. But regardless of what the energy solution is, relying on solely just one would not be in the frame of diversity of supply. Really showcasing the fact that investment in clean energy is profitable energy. It's where the markets are going, and it's something that can't be undone with a swipe of a pen or a change of administration. These are things that are moving already today, that are frankly moving in the system at quite a rapid rate. Central America and Caribbean are and will continue to be growth markets for clean energy investment. An abundance of natural resources makes them a really ripe climate for it, from biomass, geothermal, solar, wind, hydro, as well as the cost in those areas dropping precipitously also make this a more competitive market as well. In the Caribbean in particular, depends on oil and diesel generation, along with high electricity prices, highlight the need for new renewable energy development. It highlights the need for more sustainable energy solutions for the region as well as for these countries. Meanwhile, while clean energy penetration is relatively high in Central America, over-reliance on hydropower by some countries in the region is a source of energy insecurity when drought conditions arise, as we're seeing today in real time. By putting in place the legal, regulatory, and policy frameworks necessary to modernize and integrate energy systems, these regions can attract the clean energy investment by the private sector, as we talked about earlier, the importance of the private sector really stepping up. Hi, I'm Melanie Nakagawa. I'm the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Energy Transformation at the U.S. Department of State in the Energy Resources Bureau. So this summit is incredibly important. It's a culmination of many years of effort between the U.S., the Caribbean, and the Central American through the task force and other areas for collaboration on energy security. We're looking at issues of energy integration, regional interconnections, as well as looking at sustainable energy solutions for both the Caribbean and Central America, whether it's wind, solar, geothermal, hydro, and gas resources as well. And this constructive dialogue and best practice sharing has been really instrumental in helping the region pursue both energy integration, find more sustainable energy resources, and also look at more homegrown resources, frankly, to look at how they can power their energy grids, how to power their homes, power their businesses. And frankly, at the end of the day, it's all about how we actually provide the energy security for the region as well. And this is what the summit has really been capturing, and the discussions that are taking place both with the Vice President as well as with the private sector is how do you bring both the governments together with the private sector investments and the development community that's really interested in seeing the success of this region, both in Central America and in the Caribbean. How do these conversations happen, and how can we take forward a roadmap and a plan forward and a pathway forward for really seeing success? Participants here today, as your colleague mentioned, we do actually have more participants outside the Caribbean and Central America. We've got donor countries, we've got development partners and other organizations that are here in Washington for the summit. And countries like Japan or the UAE, as well as other countries from Europe, they're here because as development partners and development innovators, we're really interested in partnering with this region to help them succeed. And there's a lot of interest in understanding how these countries are actually seeing success. How are they deploying better energy on their transmission system? How are they deploying better renewable energy? This is important to the Middle East that's looking to diversify their own resources. As a country as a region that's also been traditionally oil-based, they're making massive investments into renewable already today. And so this is really important for them, is to understand how these smaller islands, oftentimes the scale of these islands are akin to smaller countries as well. So how, if you can get it done successfully on a small island, can you get it done successfully at, in other smaller countries as well around the world? They can really be models for other areas.
Thank you.
Oh, how the time frame, right. So the time frame, what the time frame is, again, you look at the Paris Agreement, we've got these countries that went forward for NBCs, and then we've also, I think the figure it's about $118 million in OPIC financing just last year alone in the region. It was both a solar and wind project was what they financed. So there is investment flows happening into the region. What was the other, ENAC, I believe, also had a figure in terms of the investment that has been captured in the region. That's actually quite.
So it's a real pleasure to be here today to celebrate the culmination of at least 4 years of work with Central America and the Caribbean to work with these regions, the United States, the multilateral development banks, and our partners around the world to work with these regions to help strengthen their energy security and help achieve more sustainable, more reliable, and more affordable energy in this region to make the countries more competitive and bring down costs for consumers to attract more private investment. So today, the delivery of the task force report to leaders really capitalizes on the work that we've done together with the regions to lay out some recommendations for next steps. There's already been a lot of incredible work done, both in the Caribbean and in Central America, but there's more to do, and the task force report today really does give some guidelines for leaders on where we can go forward. I've just come from a meeting between the private sector and the leaders of Central America, where we talked about the importance of strengthening the regional electricity line, CIEPAC, in order to take advantage of economies of scale that are achieved when you have a regional electricity line. So we talked a lot about what needs to happen next in order for that line to be strengthened and for the capacity to be increased. Steps like strengthening of national transmission grids, working together collaboratively to increase the capacity of the line. There's been incredible progress to date, but there's more we can do working together. Well, the United States actually focuses on energy security globally, not just on Central America and the Caribbean. We're doing that today for this summit, but I do want to say I represent the Energy Resources Bureau in the State Department, and we have an entire bureau dedicated to energy issues within our foreign ministry because of the importance of energy issues for national security for every nation on the planet. And energy policy really is at the heart of economic growth, of achieving our climate goals, and of political stability around the world. So today's event is about Central America and the Caribbean, but we work with our partners all over the world to help strengthen energy security. Well, I think we've seen with the drop in oil prices over the last several years and the volatility in the oil markets that every nation, oil producing and exporting nations, but also oil dependent nations, really are recognizing today the importance of diversification of fuel sources, of types, of routes, of suppliers. And I think nations are also recognizing, after our agreement in Paris in December, which was signed by over 170 nations on April 22nd, that we need to transition to cleaner fuels. So diversification and transitioning to cleaner fuels is something that I think the region in the Middle East is already recognizing and working on. And the United States is a strong supporter of that process, not only in the Caribbean and Central America, but around the world.
Our role is really in sharing our knowledge again about clean energy and presenting our lessons learned in clean energy both in this region and other regions within Latin America and the Caribbean and globally. So no, it won't necessarily impact our work, but we are very interested in learning how to improve clean energy systems specifically. Our focus is really on solar, wind, and geothermal right now. Not our focus right now. Yeah.
So what happens if applications exceed funding?
They really have to stay within the cap because our goal is also to have a wide distribution of projects because remember this is an entrepreneurship and innovation sort of effort. So we want to see a lot of different activities.